I'm going to correct myself. It's not very often I take back an opinion.
Is it that you own all that delicious-looking booze? I agree. Clearly it's mine. Give me the booze. No, I don't have a problem. It's just we want it, precious spirits.
But I'm gonna take back an opinion. If you look very, very early on in this channel to the depths of Tate's speech.
Okay, what is going on with the lady massaging you? That is like super weird. I mean, I get wanting to show off your body and all that. Well, not your body, but I want to as well. However, I cannot inflict that kind of self-esteem issue on all of my viewers. I mean, I don't have a six-pack, I have a keg, which is objectively better, and sexy, sexy boobies. I will just alienate my entire audience by taking my shirt off, and not just because it will render them all blind from the vomit going in their eyes.
I think one of my earliest 10 Tate speeches was how God is not real.
Wow, young you was kind of an idiot. Sorry, full-on God is not realers, but I ain't gonna stop calling you as dumb as theists who know God does exist. None of you do. Deal with it. But don't get me wrong, saying that you don't believe is still the way stronger argument for something for which there is no evidence. But saying that you know, well, you have to provide proof for that, and not just the same kind of semantic thought experiment arguments that believers use. Which you don't have any of, because how could you? Right, that's everyone put in their place. Now to kick them while they're down by reminding them that I am not even that smart. And there we go, even playing field.
And I sat there and I explained how God's not real and don't believe in God and I'm an atheist and blah, blah, blah.
Why, what a detailed summary. And you know what? I'm convinced. God's not real, #fact. You convinced me. Good job.
It's actually difficult to prove gravity, let alone God, which doesn't exist. You can't prove something that isn't there.
Holy crap, baby, you was a moron. I thought intelligence tended to decline with age, but there you are, flatlined at the bottom of the graph. Gravity isn't even slightly difficult to prove. You know when you put on your shirt and you topple over because you're not used to the added weight? That's gravity doing that, and the fact that you are too dumb to shirt. No wonder you sat there topless. You should try patented sick brand merch. Guaranteed, asterisk, to make you more handsome, famous, and good at the sex. I mean, it says it right there on the shirt. That should fix all of your clothing-related mishaps. Warning, probably not.
But I want to change teams, because I'm looking at these atheists, and they're all...
super sexy. I know, every last one of us. It's a curse, really. You just pledge your allegiance to atheismo, grow yourself a neckbeard, get given your mandatory fedora, and you go out and just crush all that puss. And or penna, whatever you're into. It's so hard being this impossibly attractive. I can see why you want it out. You are completely hideous after all.
Just dorks. Or just nerds.
Nerds or dorks. I mean, that's not even true. Most people who are not religious just don't care and you wouldn't know. But those who are interested in discussing it, okay, sure, a lot of them can be nerdy or dorky, although not necessarily, but that's not exactly a bad thing these days anyway. Unless you are unfathomably shallow, which clearly you are not. The geek culture these days, well, it's pretty much the modern cool. Whilst, look at me, I'm so manly, culture has kind of gone the way of the dinosaur, and people who cling to it look like massive, massive douchebags. Saying no names, and pointing at no one in particular. Andrew Tate. Oh, that's this guy. He's a massive douchebag is what I'm saying.
Or, I mean, Christians are nerds too.
Gosh, spitting out spicy hot burns today, man. Although, what I'm really hearing is, everyone is smarter than me, so I'm going to call them all nerds as a reflexive self-defense instead of confronting the simple fact that I am not exactly what you might call the world's brainiest smarter.
It's hard.
Penis joke.
But all the complete degeneracy you see in the world nowadays is done in the name of atheism, and I don't think that's a good thing.
Whoa, that is quite a sentence with absolutely loads to unpack. Like, all of the degeneracy is done in the name of atheism. Apart from the fact that find one person doing basically anything in the name of atheism. But well, first off, define degeneracy, because there is a lot of subjectivity related to that idea. Personally, I tend to define degeneracy based on harm, like taking away certain people's rights or advocating things like slavery and child marriage, or just plain murdering people for characteristics for which they have no control over. And strangely, but I can't seem to find any literature that says atheists must do those things. Seems to be a lot of religious texts that do, though. Weird.
I think that some basic things like family, man, woman, children, etc., that only seems to be the religious people. Only religious people are propagating these ideals.
A, what? Not doing that is degenerate? So, and this is a guess, but correct me if I'm wrong, but found the homophobe. And B, you don't need to promote people having heterosexual relationships. I don't know if you've noticed, but plenty of atheist couples are guy, girl, kids and married. Being atheist doesn't stop people from having the standard nuclear family. But you know what it does seem to allow for, in a way that none of the more prominently discussed religions do? Relationships that aren't like that. For people who would be extremely unhappy in that kind of bog standard relationship. You know what trying to force people to do that sounds like to me? Pretty degenerate.
Whereas the atheists are propagating insanity. Like, you know, this...
Like freedoms, like being able to criticize a book without being ostracized and or murderized, or loving whoever the hell you want to love. Yeah, those crazy atheists and their backwards, thousands of years old based ideologies. No, wait, it's the other way round, isn't it?
Gender fluid, crazy, you know, pedophilia as a sexual orientation, just madness.
What? Gender fluidity and having a sexual attraction to kids is not even remotely the same thing, so to put them together is incredibly f***ed up. And both of them have nothing, and I mean nothing, to do with whether or not someone believes in God. In fact, one of them is rather heavily associated with certain religious groups. So if that's your idea of degeneracy, you have messed up really bad with your choice of side, you massive pontificating dipshit.
So I don't want to be an atheist anymore. I look what the atheists are doing and they've just gone nuts.
Yeah, they make shit up about atheism and don't know what things are or what they mean. No, wait, that's you. Also, what has this got to do with whether or not you personally believe the claims of people who say there is a God? Like, mate, their claims have not changed. The evidence for it hasn't increased beyond, well, you know, zero. And even if all atheists were doing whatever, something you don't like, it would be completely irrelevant to whether you believe in God or not. For most of us, that shit ain't a choice. Like being gay or uncontrollably handsome. I am cursed, damn it.
And the truth is that most people are not smart enough to be an atheist.
Did he just call himself an idiot? And for non-existo's sake, that's not even true. Like I said, atheism is about belief. You don't need any particular intelligence level to have a lack of belief. You either do or you don't. The only part that might require some intelligence, or at least self-awareness, is figuring out why you do or do not believe something. But still, the fact that you don't seem to really know why you didn't believe, if you didn't actually not believe at all, is very, very telling.
Because as an atheist, what I did is I made myself the center of my universe. But most people are not intelligent enough or capable enough to do that. Most people are so unremarkable, they cannot make themselves the center of their own universe because there's nothing interesting about them. So they have to find meaning elsewhere.
Wow, that's amazing. Being completely self-centered is a sign of intelligence now. That's just, woo. And unsurprising coming out of your frankly amazing mouth. And I do not mean that as any kind of compliment. You don't have to think that you are the center of the universe to not buy others' claims about stuff. And you certainly don't have to be smart to think that you are the center of the universe. You are a primo example of that. Hot damn. It's got nothing to do with atheism and everything to do with the fact that, well, I am not a psychomologist, but you seem just a tiny wee microscopic bit massively narcissistic, and part of that narcissism is that you can't wrap your head around other people not thinking the same way as you for the exact same reasons. Like I said, amazing in just the worst way.
And if they don't find meaning elsewhere with God, they end up signing up to a new religion, which is liberalism or leftism or wokeness.
Ugh, you are so infuriating. Your assumptions stated as facts are just super goddamn irritating. You don't need to replace religion with anything. And everyone has some type of ideology or another, whether that be a personal one or one that's prescribed. And the fact that you are focused on the left-leaning stuff speaks volumes as to where you're coming from. But there are plenty of conservative atheists, some quite prominent. Not believing in God had no impact on the way they think the world should be run or how to best set up their lives. And the fact that you don't know that, well, I think I've alluded to and outright stated your stupidity enough. But yeah, that.
So people are always religious to something. And it turns out being religious to God is far better than being religious to any of the other options out there.
What does that even mean? You are clearly someone who seems to want conservative type values, but as I said, those are not exclusive to theists, and FYI, religions are ideologies, but ideologies are not necessarily religions. And again, your belief in the claim of God should have nothing to do with whether or not you think heteronormative family units are the way something should work. I mean, being religious to God does help lock you into that path. But why would you do that and not say try to convince other people who think similarly to you but disagree on X, Y, Z with your big smart brain, or just find people who agree with you on basically everything? I just don't get it. But then I am nowhere near your intelligence level. And being below me is just pathetic. Sorry, I do need to stop calling you a moron, but it's just so easy.
All the other options on the table that society provides are terrible.
I can't help but mention the accent. He seems to have that Anglo-American thing, and if there is a more irritating way of speaking, I haven't heard it. It's not because it's more annoying than any other annoying accent. It's just the inconsistency is really grating to me. And also, it somehow sounds more pretentious than just a standard British accent. Oh, and you literally don't know half the options out there as made clear by your little argument from ignorance. So well done on basically being the argument that is counter to your own.
So I've decided I no longer want to be an atheist. I'm going to start believing in God.
How do you even do that? Oh, right. Is this like the choosing to be gay thing? You know, someone bangs on and on about how being gay is a choice, but homosexuals say that they didn't choose, and most straight people say that they didn't choose to be straight. And then it turns out that the original fella was hella gay, 'cause of course they are. Yeah, you chose not to believe in God, aka you believe in God, aka you were literally never an atheist. You were one of those actual dipshits that's angry at God, or probably in your case, smarter than God. Because, come on, of course you would think that. And I'm going to be completely honest here. I reckon even God's not that thick.
Because if God keeps society together, even if God's not real, if enough people believe in a thing which makes society better, if enough people believe in a God which makes society, which is a net positive for society.
Compare today to almost any other point in history, and I would imagine you will see that we likely have more atheists per capita today than any other point in history. And if we don't, I bet it's one of the highest points regardless. And then compare what life is like for most people today where those atheists tend to be. And tell me that anyone has it worse in those areas than they would have 200 years ago, when theism was basically the de facto state of anyone, and you were nuts if you thought otherwise. To be clear, I'm not making the argument that atheism is the cause of that, but it clearly isn't hurting it.
Then God in some form exists, doesn't he?
No, that's not how that works. Belief and reality are all but unrelated. Plenty of children believe in the tooth fairy, and not even in a let's pretend way, and yet even you, I assume, wouldn't argue that the tooth fairy exists because of that belief. Because that would be asinine. Same apples. I mean applies, damn it.
So even if it's just the idea of him existing makes him semi-real. So I now believe in God.
Welp, all fictional characters are now real because of this man's dumbass logic. Cool, I always wanted to be real. Not that I wasn't. I mean, you all believe in me and worship me, right? And now I get to ride a roller coaster with, I don't know, who's a fictional character? Will Smith.
I believe in God. So now I have to decide which God I believe in. And there's lots of options, there's lots of choices. So,
I mean, that's one of the reasons people don't believe in God. This is all very I am 14 and I am deep level philosophy. And for Christ's non-existence sake, stop shouting. Being louder doesn't make you smarter. I'm evidence of that. Duh.
for me, it's really down to two. Hindu, no. The Sikhs were supposed to be a warrior religion, but I haven't heard about Sikhs fucking up anybody in a long time. Hindus praying to elephants, come on, bruv. I got better things to do. Buddhist, please don't hurt me. Piss off.
Yeah, screw relatively peaceful religions. You want an excuse to hurt people. I can't with this guy anymore. The sheer concentrated stupid mixed with literal god-tier arrogance is making me bleed from my ears. Wait, before you go, I have something super important to tell you. It's life or death. It will change everything forever. Nope, wait, it's gone. Oh well, probably wasn't important. But while I have you, don't forget to comment, subscribe and notify. And if you want more of my smexy voice, check out Mrs. Six's channel Spoonstar Stories, where I narrate and voice all the videos, and she does the work. And if you want to support the channel, check out the merch store for cool t-shirts, or check out Patreon, memberships and PayPal to support directly. Finally, follow me on the medias of social to get completely pointless guff and to keep up on the latest releases. Oh, I just remembered what I was going to tell you. Whatever you do, don't touch the